Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Helps To YouTube channel. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. I'm Gabriella Martay from Helps To.
And I'm Amber from Helps To.
And today we're going to answer one of the most popular questions that we often get, and it's all about branding. A lot of people ask us, and me in particular, I get a lot of DMs, hey, how can I be branding my social media, my business, so that it really pops, so that my feeds don't look crazy, so that I look like I'm credible, so that everything looks like it's everything.
Cohesive.
If that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and go through some elements today that we personally love. I don't think that this is a video in its fullness, so if you're looking for that today, we're sorry. We're only gonna give you a few elements because we'd be here for like hours. But I think these elements can really help you to stand out amongst your competitors or in your industry, no matter who you are, what you're doing. And I think that they can help you reach people and look credible on the internet. So, do you wanna start?
Sure.
Okay,
so the first thing I'm gonna throw your way is probably the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of branding, maybe, and that's colors. So one of the most important things for branding is having set in place colors that are cohesive, that look good together, that's important, and that are really gonna make your brand stand out and really represent what you're trying to show with your brand. One thing I will say about colors is there are some colors that appeal to people and make them want to buy something more than other colors.
yes.
So think about Walmart versus Target. Okay, let's be real. Target's more appealing. When you go to Target, you're like, wow, I want to spend all my money.
No
when
comment.
You're at Walmart, not so much, maybe, but the difference is, one of the main differences in their marketing is the colors. So red is actually one of the colors that is appealing to people's eyes and makes them want to spend more money. So there's actually 3 colors that are the main colors. It's red, orange, and green. And so if you have red, orange, or green in your brand, that's gonna grab people's eyes more and it's gonna make them wanna stay focused on what you're doing. It doesn't necessarily have to be your main color. Here at Helps To, it is. We have orange as our main color.
And we didn't choose it because of that. It just
Right.
happened, so yeah.
Well, also, yeah, it's great.
It's just nice that it is a part of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But those are 3 colors that you definitely wanna consider having in your brand. Now, on top of that, if you aren't really into those colors and you don't want that to be your main color, you can pick out what kind of theme you want. And then we actually recently used this, it's kind of like
It's like an app, I guess you would call it.
but you can use it on your browser, on your computer as well. It's called Coolers. And so this is an app that creates color palettes. And so you can tell Coolers which colors you definitely want. So like we definitely wanted orange.
And
so
white.
Right, and so we locked those colors in, but on top of that, you were able to sort through a lot of other colors and it shows them for you next to each other. And then you can choose which colors you want to make up your brand, and then you've created a whole color palette to choose from. So that's my first tip on branding. What do you got?
Have a great color palette.
Yes.
Yeah, and I love Coolers. So definitely, if
Yes.
you're confused about all that or don't even know where to start, Coolers is wonderful.
Absolutely.
My tip would be, I would say, honestly, I was gonna go one route, but I'm going a whole nother one. So we're going off the script. Throw it out here, okay? So a lot of people with their branding, I think they're just not consistent. Honestly. And I know I preach consistency all the time, but for example, if you are a biking company, why are you showing us Cheetos? Like, it just is very not consistent in terms of messaging. And I know people are like, well, that's not really branding. Well, it is, because your brand is you. And so if your focus is off in terms of what you're about and what your message is, it's really confusing and it leads to people not thinking that you're credible. So, I don't love, but there's these moments every now and then we'll have a client, they'll just go post something random while we're already managing their social media or whatever. And we love them, there's no shade, but it's just like, what is that? Why did you do that? It's so random. And I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring in this personal flair, but there's a way to do that without throwing people totally for a loop and making them confused and saying, well, I don't really know if I can trust this person because they're showing me random stuff that doesn't make sense, and so I don't trust. It's weird how we think like that on social media, just in normal terms. When someone comes at you really random, if you're not super close or have equity with them, you're like, yeah, no, I think I'm gonna go with somebody else who's more focused or something like that. So yeah, I think that would be my tip. So what's your next tip for branding elements?
Okay, yeah. My next tip is having consistency in your graphics. So chances are good, if you're trying to market something online, you're using not just photos and videos, but also graphics. And one thing that we realized does not work is when you try to get too many graphic elements in one feed, in one Instagram feed.
Unless you're a collage artist, go for it.
Sure. If you're a mixed media artist, if that's your thing, great. But most people who are not artists don't know how to do that. And so one thing that we've kind of veered more towards in our own branding as helps too is using plants and like natural leaves elements. So if we're doing leaves and plants and organic looking, posts and graphics, it would be a little weird if we suddenly came in with something cheetah print or, like flames or something weird
I feel like
that.
That was a direct stab at me because I love cheetah print.
And she did ask me to use cheetah print in our brand.
Only once, but we decided it
wasn't
wasn't right.
And we tried it. It didn't work, and that's okay. So,
It's okay.
But, you don't want to bring in a bunch of different elements into your design. If you're having very, straight lines and very clean-cut graphics, it would be kind of weird if you all of a sudden had these, organic shapes and, something very different from that. And so one thing that is really helpful to keep a consistent brand is having consistent graphic styles.
Yeah.
So what else do you got?
Graphic elements.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say the last thing I would mention is having a solid logo. And I've worked with a lot of clients who think they have a good perception of what a logo is, but a logo is not just your company's text. You know what I mean?
It's not a font.
It's not a font, a cute font that has your company name. It really is like a graphic representation of your company that could be seen anywhere, and people would be like, whoa, that's Helps Too, or that's McDonald's, or that's Jack in a Box, or whatever.
Nike.
You know what I mean? Target, the Target sign, Nike, the swoosh. And so those, a lot of people treat them carelessly, I'd say, and don't really take any time to invest in that. But I think that's one of the most important things when it comes to really being, if you're just a creative, maybe you could get away with not having a logo. But if you are a company, organization, something that you want to, put out there as a huge umbrella that people are going to come to and get services from or buy a good from, I think it's important to have a logo. It goes on shirts, it can go on hats. I think that's what really changes the game when you start thinking, my logo has to be able to survive all of these different places in terms of it being represented. It has to be represented online really well. It should be able to be on a huge, 10 by 10 banner, 10 foot by 10 foot banner.
Wow.
It should be able to be put on a cap, on a shirt, and it has to be able to withstand all of those different canvases for it to truly be a great logo.
Yeah.
And it has to pop and be simple. It has to be very simple. So I'd say a logo, simplicity, and it surviving the canvases. Absolutely. So I think that's it for our branding element.
Yeah, I think
Quick
that's all we've
guide.
got today.
If you want to know more, please send us questions at questions@helps2.com and leave comments below this video and we'll get back to you. And we'll see you in our next video.